Welcome to the On Being Human podcast, where we believe transforming ourselves can positively transform society. Your host, Brandi Fleck, has the honor of exploring the human condition with real people who bravely share their personal stories of adversity, healing, joy, and more. If you're seeking empowerment, strength, and inspiration, listen in to engage and explore tough topics that help us humanize one another, understand ourselves better, spread love, and connect.
Welcome to Season 2 of the On Being Human podcast. I'm your host, Brandi Fleck. Who are we? Why are we the way we are? How can we live better?
At some points, I think it has a lot to do with failure and what you do to overcome it. How can I take this event and make it into something good?
We have the biggest impact for change for sure, but that change can either be good or it can be bad, and it's up to us to decide which way we want to go.
Free will. Recognizing those patterns that repeat themselves, that I feel like that's what makes us human.
So, Brandi, what did you learn from producing Season 1 of the podcast?
I started Season 1 thinking that doing this podcast around the human condition would be way easier than it has been. I've always thought knowledge, compassion, grace, and love were important, but now I'm starting Season 2 thinking more than ever that we owe each other compassion, grace, and love, in addition to we owe the world our true selves. What I learned from Season 1 that I didn't expect to learn is how many different forms trauma comes in. Because of that, the number of people who have trauma in their lives is staggering. When I went through my own traumas, I felt very alone and like other people wouldn't understand. Over the years as I've healed, I've realized that others do understand. And now, because it's evident that there are so many of us who experience trauma, it's also evident that we can call it out and stop it.
Being human is being able to face adversity with sometimes a smile on your face. Also recognizing that it's okay to not be strong all the time and acknowledging your weakness or your weak points. Being human is also accepting change, accepting bad things, good things, whatever it is in your life that is present, and learning to either, you don't have to accept everything, but accept it for its good and accept it for its bad, loss, gain, whatever it is, however you want to associate yourself and your reality with acceptance.
Whatever from the past has happened. There's nothing you can change that. You can use that to fuel and to change your future. To change your future. Change your future. To change your future.
So, what was it like interviewing all the guests for Season 1?
I came out of some of the interviews for Season 1 just completely drained, honestly, because I wasn't expecting to learn some of the things I learned just by asking the questions I asked. For instance, several guests revealed past sexual abuse or rape, which I wasn't expecting and I didn't know beforehand. Others revealed experiencing loved ones' suicides, deaths, addictions. There were times when I was interviewing guests who'd been through similar abuse as me, and I didn't realize how triggering it would be. But with determination and practice, the interviews have gotten much smoother, and now I know the reach of trauma is so staggering, even in places where it looks like it couldn't be. Now that I know that, it's easier to hold space for the person telling their story, and holding space for a person telling their story is really important.
There's nobody that you wouldn't love if you only knew their story. being human means being vulnerable. You have to be vulnerable in order to be connected to other people. And what I mean by that is you have to let go and, again, just kind of surrender to whatever the outcome is going to be and realize that that's okay. You know, that's okay that you are who you are and you're not in control of everything. And once you're okay with who you are, you can experience love on a completely different level. You know, you learn to love yourself, then it's easy to be, you know, in the moment with people and love them as they are. We're so much more deserving of being loved than we often give ourselves credit for.
Being human is about strength and fortitude, but also about the beauty and vulnerability in feeling and being and experiencing, as well as surviving and soldiering on, so to speak. It is a delicate balance of strength and vulnerability.
You know, in the animal kingdom, you don't want to be vulnerable. You know, you want to be safe, you want to be protected. And as humans, we have the ability to submit to that vulnerability and still come out okay on the other side. That's how we make connections with people. That's how we make relationships that last.
We are all the same. And I think the biggest thing that impacts us is the desire to kind of make ourselves safe, but at the same time, make ourselves joyful. We're bringing beauty and grace and joyfulness into the most basic needs of life. And I think that is the fundamental nature of what it is to be human. What it is to be human. To be human.
Being human means being open to, creating, and caring for relationships with other people. And whether you're the kind to have lots of connections with lots of people or just a deep connection with a few people, we're here to make each other feel safer and loved and cared for. And so maintaining those connections, I think, is the most important part of what it means to be a human.
Like our first, most basic response is to connect with others. And so to me, being human is about how we live out that connection.
Not only are we just in our little hometowns and you know, parts of the world, but we're like part of a whole galaxy. And I think, you know, all the stuff lately, they're talking about new galaxies forming and things like that. It just kind of reminds me that, you know, we're just a small part of like a bigger scheme. I feel like being human is just recognizing, even if you're not religious, just recognizing that we're all in kind of the same struggle. We all have the same struggles. We all have the same hopes and fears. Some just different than others, but it's all pretty much the same general scheme.
We all want, you know, for the most part, to live in peace and, you know, not have a lot of stress and, you know, bad things happen to us. I think that ultimate goal is pretty common among most of the human race.
You know, being human, I think it's about a lot of imperfections, really, when it comes right down to it. It's mostly about being perfectly imperfect, reaching for your goals in life. We're the only creatures that are allowed to talk, and just kind of reaching for your goals in life and maybe getting to it or not getting to it. And that's what I love about it.
So what would you say to people who might have fear or insecurities about telling their story, sort of regardless of the outlet for telling that story?
A season 2 guest who you guys will really enjoy hearing from said to me after we recorded that she was nervous about sharing her trauma story. But after meditating on it, she realized her personal story has events unique to her, but the overall story belongs to the collective. It's the story of many. That's a really good way to express why I wanted to share these stories, even if triggering. They're the stories of the collective, and we owe it to each other to share our experiences so we can learn and become better. When we communicate about what we've been through, we can choose to nourish the positive and really deal with the negative in a healthy way. So other guests on the show have taught me that we're already becoming better as humans. We're using resilience and activities and things that bring us joy to heal and be happy. We're putting energy into healing through art, music, writing, purpose, serving others, and really being human. And what you use to cope during the hard times isn't how you can exist in the happy times. As we evolve, we must be grateful for getting through and then let go of what doesn't serve us any longer. That's what I would say.
I believe that we lived in the spiritual form before we came here in the physical form. And then when we expire here in the physical form, our spiritual form still lives on.
I believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And the human part of that involves our flaws, our mistakes, our feelings, the depth of our feelings that we have, the breadth of our joy that we have on this planet. And all of that is to me what being human is. It's understanding that we are connected to a greater source, that we're all a reflection of that greater source, but also that we are not perfect. You know, we are flawed. We are beautifully flawed.
Being human, first and foremost, is us realizing that we are spiritual beings first. We are all sent here very purposefully, and then realizing how connected we are despite the differences that we were born with.
So, based on what you learned from interviewing the guests that were on the show, what advice do you have for listeners?
Absolutely reject racism, reject classism, reject sexism, reject homophobia, reject transphobia, reject division over politics, reject all types of prejudices, really, challenge stereotypes, and reject abuse of all types. Explore the outliers to find that maybe outliers are just another way of being rather than wrong or abnormal. Love your bodies, advocate for your bodies and the bodies of others, and ultimately reject hate. But understand that hate came from a toxic seed to begin with. Therefore, identify those negative, toxic cycles of existence so we can turn them around. Your size, shape, color, religion, gender, sexual orientation, learning style, purpose here, and journey are all amazingly miraculous and worth celebration. And every single variation of each of those characteristics and more is what makes us human.
You need to be yourself. You need to be true to who you are.
Being human to me means truly understanding who I am and being okay with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And truly accepting me for who I am and not trying to change because someone doesn't like who I am.
Humans are a social creature. Treating people the way you want to be treated, that makes us human.
To be human for me means to be relatable and real and vulnerable and connected to people, to be weak, open, fallible, flexible, and hopeful. I think we're wonderfully created and we're full of light, and being fully human is just being a light to the rest of the world and for yourself too.
Being human means making lots of mistakes and giving each other grace to survive it.
It's okay to make mistakes. We're all flawed. We're all going to make mistakes. But in the end, everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. Everything will be okay.
So, here, kind of at the beginning of season 2, looking forward, what can we expect? What's coming up?
Well, in season 2, we're still exploring difficult human experiences and how to cope, be resilient, and progress, but we're more deeply exploring human progress, healing, and possibilities, and emphasizing healing in the celebration of being human through creation, art, writing, reading, dance, music, and following your passions to be who you truly are, because the world needs who you are.
We all have flaws, and we all have awesome things about each of us. And I think being real when we're sharing our stories and in our relationship with each other, that's what makes us human.
The more authentic people are, the happier they are.
Cook more. You'll find your humanity in the dishes you create in your own kitchen as you bring other cultures into your own.
To me, being human means to love ridiculously, even when you seem like you're the craziest person on the planet.
Rise together.
Live by the golden rule. Be excellent to one another and party on.
I think for me, it's really just about giving more than I'm taking.
We should provide a service to each other, a service to humanity.
Being human is knowing that you are loved by a higher being through Christ, and that you're going to fail, and that He will put it back together if you have faith and drive towards Him and not away from Him. I believe that being human is also loving others like you love Him, and I think that that's a big deal.
What does being human mean to you?
It really means just constantly changing.
The ability to show empathy, but also impact change through that empathy.
Being human is just caring and loving one another. I think that if there was more of that the world would change.
Maybe I'm the person who needs to do something about this.